Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
What is happening, Blades? And welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I'm, of course, Jimmy, and I'm going to show some love, first of all, to one of our sponsors, as they are very kind to support the channel. It's very much appreciated. So check out VNB Auto. Check out VNB Auto Centre in Handsworth, where your vehicle's needs come first. Located at Unit 32, Orgreave Close in Sheffield, they offer same-day tyre fitting and MOTs while you wait, as well as comprehensive vehicle servicing. Relax in the comfortable reception area with free Wi-Fi and drinks, or maybe you fancy their free local collect and deliver service. Book now at vnbautocenters.co.uk or call 0114 322 446. And now they're offering 10% services off for Ramblers on tyres, servicing and MOTs. Just mention the word Ramble when you book and check the link in the description. Visit VNB Auto Centre today for quality care and transparent prices. Thank you to VNB Autos Handsworth for sponsoring the Ramble. It's very much appreciated. Obviously, thank you to our main channel sponsor, Action Coach Sheffield. This channel would not be anywhere near where it is today if it wasn't for John and the team. So thank you to John. Very much appreciated. Right, so this club, just everything about it drives me absolutely insane because we're never happy, are we? And I'm not saying we should be. Look, this is not going to be me coming on and trying to steer anybody one which way. A lot of it will be comment-led in terms of what you want to talk about, because we're always saying we're a voice. We want to be a voice for fans on this platform and respect other people's opinions. So I'm not gonna spin you either way. The only thing I will say is 2-3 days ago, I were on the Ramble with my dad, and we were buzzing, absolutely buzzing for the season because it had been slim pickings all the way through, and we'd had such a terrible time last year, the season that we won't even talk about. Callum O'Hare and Kiefer Moore signed for Sheffield United, and it looks like everything's on the up because two superb signings. Everybody's praising Wilder particularly because he's led these negotiations and sort of convinced these players that Sheffield United is the place to come, which is a huge achievement, particularly with O'Hare, but certainly with Kiefer Moore as well in terms of getting him over the line. He sold him the dream, essentially, that Sheffield United are a club that's going to be top end at league, pushing for promotion. You can be a part of it. The rebuild, Sheffield United 2.0, if you like. And even the Prince, we're getting a bit of praise. Fair play. You know, there were sort of murmurings about it being a free transfer for Callum O'Hare. It's a big investment, Callum O'Hare, but other people saying, oh, well, it's not going to be his money to pay, and it's going to be the new owners. And that's essentially where people are starting to get a little bit restless now, because the latest is that takeover talks have stalled. And when I say the latest, there's rumours online about it. Everybody knows my situation in terms of being fortunate enough to have some communication with Prince Abdullah. What I've always said is that I will try my best. I can't ever 100% say this, but I will try my best not to let that cloud my judgment on how I see things. I'm conscious that is just one side of how things are from Prince Abdullah's perspective. I'm very appreciative that he lets me in on some things. Not an awful lot, I'll be honest. I don't know who these new prospective owners are. I certainly don't know the progress of the takeover currently, and nor should I, because it's not my place to know that really. But I do get that perspective. But I've had a lot of calls today and yesterday about the other side of the coin and trying to get different perspectives on it. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to share like all sides of it and what does it mean for Sheffield United, because the one thing that we will push, as well as being an open platform for fans to talk about stuff, is when it comes to like signings and transfer rumours and stuff like that, we will never do anything on this channel to intentionally I have to say intentionally just in case anything ever does happen, but it's always the plan to never do anything that will damage the club, because that is what we want. So we've got fans at the minute online aware or thinking that the Prince is stalling takeover talks. I don't know if that's true or not, and I suspect the majority, some may know what's going on because there'll be people close to Chris, there'll be people close to owners, there'll be people close to Prince Abdullah. That inner circle, if you like, will all have their own perspective from whichever side they're on. They will think that's the case, that Prince Abdullah's stalling. Prince Abdullah might be saying that the other side's stalled. We don't know what's going on. And before I get into anybody's sort of deep and dark opinions on what's going on, because there are some really strong opinions on this. My old dad always says to me, Jim, if you can't control it, you can't worry about it. And that's one of the easiest things to say and the hardest things to do. But ultimately, we can't change anything. Whatever will be with Sheffield United. And I'm not teaching anybody to suck eggs, but there's a huge uproar and fans are going crazy. Some of the posts I've seen online, Prince Abdullah, get out of our effing club, all this sort of stuff. And I get that people are anti-Prince. Some people are anti-Prince. How do we know that it's not the Americans that are holding up the deal? We don't know that. We don't know that they are. We don't know that they aren't. So yeah, it's been interesting to get different perspectives on things today. The latest is that Jaden Bogle. This is just one prime example. The latest being that Jaden Bogle, Danny Hall has just reported Jaden Bogle may be given permission to miss the friendly tomorrow against Chesterfield to speak with Leeds United about a potential move, because we know they've been keen. We've knocked back a bid or two, but we're potentially going to sell Jaden Bogle because he's in the last year of his contract. I am of the belief, or I have been informed, not directly from Prince Abdullah, by the way, just to sort of caveat that, but people close to the club who have told me Bogle will not sign under any circumstances, and he wants to know what's happening with the club, where we're going. Ideally, he'd want to wait and weigh up his options at the end of the season. And the club have taken the stance, if you're going to do that, we're going to have to sell you, because we can't guarantee that you're going to sign a deal and you'll walk out for nothing, a bit like Ollie McBurney and John Egan have done. The differing opinion I've got from more than one party today and yesterday is Bogle actually wants to stay, but the current board won't put up the money and they want to cash in on him to meet the deficit. Some people will choose to believe option A. Other people will choose to believe option B. And nobody's going to really know what the truth is. So you're going to form your own opinions, no matter what I say, no matter what's written on X. And ultimately, none of us have got an influence on it. None of us. So, you know, I could give my opinion now. It doesn't mean anything, does it? It doesn't mean, I think it's fair to say that I'm always conscious that I don't want to damage my relationship with the club. But by the same token, we pride ourselves on being legit and just giving you genuine opinions. So I'm more than happy to hear alternatives. I'm more than happy now to talk with you guys about what your opinions are on it, and we'll work our way through it. It's a bit of a group therapy session, I think. So we'll see. We'll test the waters here on what sort of, because some of these comments will come in before I've done me like 10-minute monologue there, or 5-minute monologue, wherever it was. We'll just feel the heat of the room, see what we're thinking. I think the panic is due to Danny Hall tweeting over a week ago, says there was an update with the takeover, then nothing actually happened. The lack of updates from anyone at the club and journos is a worry. Sam says it's only rumours. We need to have a bit of positivity. Unless anyone else has said anything, I still feel it will happen. Things take time, Jimmy. Look at Leeds, at Bournemouth, when they had the takeover. It took time. We need to be patient. So there is that. Well said, Sam, that we do need to be patient about whatever's going to happen. It's not going to happen in 2 or 3 weeks. It's just not. And I don't think it will anyway. I'll be very surprised. But those were strong rumours that we were getting closer. We're getting closer. Some people criticise the club for not keeping fans informed. If the club had kept fans informed, then you're going to have to speak now on confidential sort of takeover updates potentially, aren't you? So I think there's an element of can't win there. Kev says, hi, Jimmy. I hope we're not Everton 2.0. What I would say is, and I'm not pushing any particular angle here, but what is worst case scenario if the takeover doesn't go through? So we've got Prince Abdullah stays. It's largely rumoured that we're looking at frees and loans. Whether that's true or not, that's certainly what is coming from one side, that it'll just be frees and loans if Prince Abdullah stays. But there's 5 Premier League loans that we can potentially come in. You've got to think that's at least 4 starting spots. You'd like to think 5 starting spots from hopefully the Premier League, including a goalkeeper, which we're desperate for. So Prince Abdullah stays. Positives on Prince Abdullah's reign so far. Obviously, we've gone from League One to the Premier League. 3 of the last 5 seasons in the Premier League. I'm glossing over it because we all know it, but it shouldn't be understated what's happened, the progress that we've made. We've brought all the assets back into the club. We've got a new training ground on the way. We've got a strategy with our youth players, which I think is really sort of underappreciated. What we tend to do before they become a superstar at youth level, we go a little bit deeper and we get them at 14, 15. So you get to sell on players, unfortunately, because that's the position we're in at, like Lancashire and the other kid, the Kyle Midwood, is it something that went to Man City? But then you also get the gems that come through, like all black then, right? Screen went black. Okay, so we'll carry on. I'm preparing for the worst due to how long the saga is ongoing. Just thought we've planned well enough for both situations. If a third takeover doesn't happen, got to ask questions about Prince Abdullah. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I'll tell you what, if you can see me sweating, because I've got a new light, which is brilliant. Thanks, Amazon Prime. But it is hotter than the sun in this room. So I wasn't confident enough to leave the door wide open tonight, just in case of the noise or whatever kicked off. I'll be doing that in future. Next on the list is a fan for the studio. Wow. Joe says, can't wait for the We Are Back tweets in a few days when a couple of transfer rumours come out. And then 2 days later, a full-on meltdown again. Just a bit of patience. We know stuff is being done. Yeah, that's a good, sensible, big picture way of thinking, pal. Give me some hope, pal, please. A lengthy process is understandable, but this is a joke. How long's a piece of string, though, Daz? That's the thing. I'd love to give you some hope, mate. But I think this is more about trying to calm everybody down a little bit, because we can't affect it. And if you look at our squad on paper at the minute, yes, it's light. It is light. And I'm not trying to make, make excuses for anything about the current situation. But I think we go all right at the minute in the Championship with the current, particularly going forward. You look at Callum O'Hare, Ollie Arblaster, Gus Hamer, Kiefer Moore. We're absolutely laughing, aren't we, in that going forward, thinking about that. Obviously, defence is going to need some work. We've still got a Nell, which a lot of people think he'll go, but we've not had an offer yet. Bogle going is a huge, I think that's a setback for us. I would rather keep him and lose him on a free, personally. I've thought about it back and forth, but it's a huge drop-off to Jamie Shackleton and Sam Curtis, and it's a big ask of an 18-year-old kid in Sam Curtis to come in and do a job, because big ask, just a big ask for me. Breaking news, Will Lancashire in talks with Wrexham, season loan. What's your thoughts? Oh, don't go to Wrexham. I think he could go into Championship, to be honest. I think there were a few teams that were after him. Some people wanted us to have a pop at Will Lancashire to get him back on loan. Going to be in trouble with this clickbait thumb. Oh, I hope people don't think it's clickbait. Best be a good one, Jimmy, no pressure. No, is the takeover over? That's essentially what we're asking. I'm on the thumbnail going, nobody knows. So hopefully people don't think you've come here for answers, because we don't know, do we? Nobody knows, and that's the whole point of it. Expect the worst and be pleasantly surprised, I reckon, says Bill. No news is good news, they reckon. Hope it's good news, Jimmy lad. Stu, thank you for signing up to Patreon, pal. Very much appreciated. Saw that come in just before I went live. Brilliant, mate. Thank you for the support. Get yourself in that WhatsApp group. Steve, good evening, pal. One of our Platinum Rambles. It's not knowing anything that's causing a lot of heartache for the fan base. We should just plough on with the recruitment after selling a possible couple of players and see what happens. Yeah, we should. How do, Jimmy? Regardless of takeover, it's been positive to see us secure some great signings. Regardless of what happens next, we've got to keep going with the rebuild. Still work to do there. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Like and subscribe. Thank you, pal. Appreciated. We've been given 2 players the majority asked for. CW has been backed so far. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Proof of the pudding is in the eating, or whatever that saying is. And so far, the two big signings that we've got are very, very strong, very good. The fear is that Wilder's now got to generate his own funds to rebuild. And if you ask me, that's fine if you're selling Vinny Souza, because not a lot of us rate Vinny Souza. We know he's a big ticket asset. We'll get a lot of money into the club. But who's buying him? Who's buying him? There's no substance, apparently, to these Fulham rumours that might pick up as the transfer window comes to a close. But we need that money in, don't we, to push on with this rebuild. If we get that keeper too, nobody can complain so far. No, but we haven't got a keeper yet, have we, pal? We haven't got a keeper, and we need one. The thing that's worrying me, says Hyder, the most is how close the new season is, and we're still half a team with half a goalkeeper. We need multiple signings, and the players will have no time to gel. That's the fear. That is the fear. That's the whole point. And I think what we were talking about previously was, I don't mind sacrificing a chunk of this window, if you like, to make sure that we get the right ownership moving forward. I'm comfortable with that. But if we're not going to get a decision and it's all going to be limbo right towards the end of the transfer window, and then we're scrambling around, then we start to get nervous. I know there's 2 plans in place, so I'm not overly concerned, but one is much more difficult than the other to pull off, I think. So, and that's obvious. What would you rate PA's tenure out of 10? I'd say 6. We've obviously had some good times, but for how money has come into the club in the last 5 years, Prem money, we should be in a much stronger state. I can't think of, and again, it's a wide open shot for me to be criticised here, but I can't think of too many better owners in terms of his track record, his success rate. Having said that, we have had some dark times. 2 of the seasons that Prince Abdullah's been in charge, the COVID season and last season in particular, were absolutely atrocious. And he might be able to justify that in terms of business and why he didn't make certain signings at certain times. And obviously there was the embargo as well. So there's also things that detract from his reign. But I think if you look at it holistically, and when we look back in time, if we fast forward 10 years and he's 5 or 10 years removed, then I think we'll look back quite fondly. But people are sort of saying this will taint his reputation and things like that. We don't even know what's happening. We don't know if he's the one that's delaying things. We don't know. There's reports that he's changed his mind. That might be true. Is that a bad thing? You know, people say that he doesn't care about the club, but why else would he want to stay if he didn't care about the club, if that's what's happening? I think you've got to look at it all parts, haven't you? Long season ahead, lots of championship teams. Don't get going properly till Christmas. Just need to be in the mix at Christmas, said the Saint. I think Prince Abdullah's a fantastic owner. He just doesn't quite have the money needed. I agree with that. Bean says 3 weeks today till Preston, and our squad currently has so many holes in it. Got to get a few in next week. Got to get on the no takeover list who we can get in. Desperately need a new keeper. I agree. Going to suck with -2 points. That's really annoyed you. Prince is a brilliant owner, says Hyder. He's just not got the funds to take us to the next level. 8 out of 10. Joe says, also got to remember we're dependent on the takeover for money. Likes of Souza and Nell leave. We're looking at 30 to 40 million and maybe even happen. But that money has to be put into the team. I don't think it all will, but I think a lot of it would be. Made 2 good solid signings in O'Hare and more. Got to keep Hamer at all costs. Like our blaster, vultures are circling, and knowing our luck, it'll go on the last day and we won't have time for replacements. Wow, I know that's a fear, isn't it? That's always a fear. But unless you're a Man City or a Liverpool, and there's not many more, you're always going to be vulnerable to that, aren't you? Unfortunately. Happy Chappy says it's not happening. It's high time Prince Abdullah came out and just said it. He either wants too much or him retaining a stake is proving to be a stumbling block. See, that's an assumption as well, isn't it? We don't know that. By the way, Jimmy, I'm missing your kitchen. I can take you back there for a ramble if you want, pal. Our blaster's going nowhere, says the Saint. Oh, my word, I've got a new mouse and it's a little bit sensitive. So I keep scrolling past everybody's comments. Takeover or not, says Sonny. Knowing where we stand with everything is better, and getting this season underway is better. Get every crumb of money and get a goalkeeper, centre back and right back. Utilise loans, and we will be sound. By the way, I'm new to being a Rambler, but the groups and people a part of this community is fantastic. It's worth subscribing to if you want to be a part of more Blades content and get the inside info up the Ramble. Thank you, Sonny. Really appreciate that, and thank you for coming on board with our Patreon. Really appreciate it, pal. Paul Rose says, anyone else concerned with this so-called squad rebuild or lack of it? Feeling like this takeover is going to flop and we'll be lucky to finish mid-table at this rate. I don't fear that, Paul. I'm in the same camp as you that we need to ramp up our transfer activity. No doubt about it. There's no getting around it. There's no arguing that, I don't think, in any quarters. The squad is light and we need bodies through the door. And to do that, we need to determine which way the takeover is going to go. But we can't. It's frustrating watching on, but we can't determine that, which, again, is why people are getting frustrated with things. But I wrote about it, unfortunately. Sean says, as it's been said, we don't know what's going on, but hearing the Prince was having second thoughts about selling the club made my mind up that it's not happening. Hi, Jimmy. Hope all is good, pal. I'm great. Thank you, Tim. Hope you are too, mate. Looks a bit Bogle. He's off. Danny Hall's reporting he's due out to sit out the Chelsea friendly tomorrow. Yeah, saw that, Sam. Bogle's going to go to Leeds. I hope we've got a right back up and practically done. I'd go for Hoover from Liverpool. In here, Wolves. The amount of work we need to do is scary. I'm not convinced we've got a right back lined up. Certainly not if things stay as they are. I think we're going to go with Shackleton and Sam Curtis, which is a concern. But the other thing with Bogle, it's not just we're losing our best right back. He's going to a direct rival in Leeds, a direct divisional rival who are going to be pushing for promotion with us. The only thing I would say about Bogle is he don't fit into a back four for me. And I'm not saying he couldn't do a job at championship level, because I think he's very, very good, but I think he's a right wing back. And that's the furthest back he goes, to be honest, for me. It could even be a right midfielder, but I don't think a right back. I think his defensive frailties let him down in too much to be an out-and-out right back. Having said that, he's still the best that we've got at the club. Looks like Fulham will return with a bid for Vinny. There hasn't been one to begin with, to be honest, Sam, from what I'm told. As well as which, in all honesty, I wouldn't be too disappointed by it. No, neither would I. Chris says, evening, Jim. Hope you're well. I am, mate. Hope you are too. I hope you're not going to tell us the fax machine is unplugged or Microsoft issues have scuppered the takeover. I don't know what the situation is, pal, to be honest. This bloody mouse. I'd chill out over the takeover. Just remember, Prince has our best interests at heart. I still believe that. If we go down again, he'll just lose more money. Yeah, absolutely. It's in the Prince's interest to get us promoted, to get that value out of the club. But again, I don't. It's difficult, isn't it? Because he'd be staying because he wants to stay. You know, the easy thing, if you don't care about the club, he can still make an absolute fortune on what he's put into the club by selling now. So you can't have it both ways. That he don't care about the club and he's only after money. And if you know what I mean, it's contradictory. How worrying is it that no one at the club wants to stay? McBurney most likely, Jebo, Bogle, even staff members like Keith Andrews left and hasn't been replaced. So you could go through each one of them, and I won't because there's so many comments, but some will say that they don't want to stay. Others will say that they do, but there's been no firm offers on the table. So there's, as I said, there's always two sides to everything. And it's quite, I think Jebo was, you know what I think about Jebo. I think that he planned that long term, and I think he messed us about. But I think the club played our cards really well with that one. Wilder particularly, making it look as though he were a real prized asset that we wanted to keep hold of. And ultimately, we were just trying to drive the price up. Evening, Jimmy. When will the pain end? Also, well done with the caravan. Thank you, mate. Yes, that was a little tale I had for the Platinum Ramblers in terms of, oh my word, what a night I had last night. Ridiculous. Jack says we've made 2 really good signings, but apart from that, it's not moving fast enough for how important Wilder said this window is. Absolutely. I agree with you. Steve McDonald says, if the transfers keep coming in as they are doing, I'm not really bothered about the takeover. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Up the blades, up the ramble. Like and subscribe, folks. Thank you, pal. Bogle given tomorrow off, says Scotty. Yep, we've talked about it, pal. And I know you've put it in before, I've mentioned it. Seeing all these other teams get the signings puts me on the edge. Got a feeling it's going to be a repeat of last season. I don't think so. Evening, pal. Hope you're well. Up the ramble. Thank you, mate. Jordan says, I know takeovers take time, but the silence for months left me with little confidence. Bogle's off to Leeds. Takeover in doubt. How did it all go wrong so quickly? Thing is, we'll probably sign, I'm not saying this is, don't quote me on this, but we'll sign Mike Cooper and Harrison Burrows in 2 days, and everybody will be like, brilliant, we're going to win league, blah, 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 blah. Because that's the roller coaster of being a Blade, isn't it? It'll be sad to see Bogle go, personally. A definite threat and only strengthens Leeds and weakens us. It does, that's right. Completely agree with that, Kyle. Love the recent signings and think it gives us a fair chance at jumping straight back up. Would love the new shirt sponsor to be Google. Don't get your hopes up for that, pal. I think there's more chance at Ramble being sponsored than Google. Now Bogle is off. Doesn't sound good at all. Players wanting out and not signing new deals. Egan, Bogle, McBurney, Wes, Baldock, to name a few, pal. What is happening, says Liam. Liam, I know you've been sending me some stuff today as well, haven't you, on things that you've seen online. I appreciate that. I appreciate people trying to keep me in the loop. I'm hearing all sorts of things, as you'll probably be aware, but ultimately it's about what can we control? What do we know? Sifting through all the rubbish and looking at, if people are going to say something, reputable people are going to say something, like people that are close to Wilder, for example, that people know hold water. So Liam sent me some bits. Other people have sent me some bits. Then you take notice and you think, oh, well, maybe that's, and a journalist reports, Danny Hall reports on Bogle going to Leeds. He wouldn't put his neck out there if there were nothing there. I think the criticism of articles that come out is when it's just to fill stuff that we already know because there's a quota, but he's actually telling us something tangible there. And if he's not in the squad to face Chesney tomorrow, we all know what's happening, don't we? Hey, Jimmy, with the takeover dragging along, what point do we restart Plan B? The Plan B recruit? I don't know, mate. I don't know, pal. We're well and truly done, says Happy Chappy. We've got Prince Abdullah to thank for that. I see the Yanks have pulled out of the Everton takeover. Wonder if we're a cheaper option. I were up in that, Chris. I were hoping so, because they are minted out of them that's pulled out of the Everton deal. If you know the specials track Pearl's Cafe, you know. If you don't, have to look on YouTube and listen to the lyrics. I'll take your word for that, GT. I'll have a look at that later. Thank you, Tommy, for becoming a Rambler. Very much appreciated, pal. Thank you for the support. Can't see anything concrete on the takeover being off. Looks to me like word of mouth of someone's speculation has now turned into rumoured factual. Yeah, I think that's the problem, innit? Name of time. Somebody gets a little bit of something, runs with it, and turns it into something huge. And I've seen so many meltdowns online today, and I don't get it. I do get it. I get people's frustration, but I don't know where the vitriol comes from, because we're still going to turn up, aren't we? We're still going to be at Lane. We're still going to back Wilder, who I think has done an absolutely tremendous job through all this, by the way. That I think that's been slightly overlooked, how well Chris Wilder has coped with all the uncertainty. Because it's not just him not knowing what his own future will be. Because at one time it were really under the spotlight in terms of what could happen with Chrissy Wilder. But can you imagine trying to put a team together under these sort of circumstances? Persuading, for example, a Sam McCallum to come to us. Sam McCallum, who is a tried and tested championship fullback, only 23, 24, but signing him on a 4-year deal, telling him to come there, he's going to be a part of it. When Sam McCallum himself doesn't know if Harrison Burrows is going to come in in front of him in that position, but still wants to come and back himself. How do you, as a manager, how do you sell the club to a player that you might come and be a big player for us, you might come and be a bit part player for us, but we want you to be involved, we want you to be a part of this rebuild? I think he's done an absolutely incredible job so far. And yes, I'm a Wilder fan. I always have been, and I make no apologies for that. But I again, I have to repeat the same thing. I would not want anybody else leading this turnaround than Chris Wilder. Bogle, I hope. Come on. Rob says Bogle doesn't want to sign a new deal, so get cash whilst we can. We want players who want to be here. Well, again, to give the fair counter to that argument, Rob, I've had a couple of people independently today tell me, and I'm not just throwing out rumors, I'm throwing out people that have got credibility to give another perspective, that it might not all be the case that Bogle just definitely wants out. It might be a case of he wants X, and I'm not saying he wants a certain amount or he's going to leave. He may be happy to stay if we offer him an appropriate deal. What is an appropriate deal? Who knows? But what I'm saying is the narrative so far has been that Bogle refuses outright to sign a new contract, and that's what I've been led to believe as well. So I'm not saying that's not the case either. But there's other people in strong positions that say actually he would stay if given the right offer, and Wilder could potentially convince him to stay a part of it. Thing is, people say we're still missing 5 or 6 players, but we have 5 loans to use. Correct, Jamie? Correct, pal. We'll be fine without the takeover. If worst comes to worst, we've got more hair. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think it's ever as bleak as people think. Egan's not fit, so why offer him a deal? Yeah, I agree with that, Sean. Jebbo couldn't care less if he's lived off the one good goal he scored. Agreed. Jimmy, guessing you've applied for England job, right? Yes, mate, yeah. Agrees regarding Bogle, does Chris. So Kyle says, if money wasn't an issue, what striker would you want us to buy who's currently in the Championship? Oh, good question. Obviously, thinking about the teams that have come down, you've got the big money lads at Leeds, but I don't think like Somerville, for example, will be in the league much longer. I think they'll end up selling him. I would go for the obvious one, particularly if we're playing one up front today, nowadays, because it looked like we're going that way at York. We keep more at top. I'd go for Morgan Whittaker at Plymouth and stick him on the right-hand side as an inside forward. I think that's a lovely combination. Let's be positive. We've got a club to support. We can't control what's happening above at the end of the day. Some players will come and go, but I still think we have a competitive side. Up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Thank you, Sam. Very much appreciated. And thank you for becoming a Rambler as well. Thank you for the support, pal. I'll read Jimmy Bonny lad. All right. Davy. Is it Davy or Davy? I don't know. I've got a Davy at work and I've got a brother called Davy. So let me know. Our Geordie friend. Apparently, Wilder and his staff are waiting to be sacked by the new owners if they come in. Don't believe that for a minute, pal. No, not fake news, as the Donald would say. They big this window up to be the most important and pull this. Apart from these 2 good signings, it's not good enough. It's embarrassing at this point. It's not embarrassing, Jack, is it? It's not embarrassing. The takeover and the uncertainty is concerning. The window is not embarrassing at all. Nobody's really got going. We've brought 4 players in, 2 of which are needle movers, aren't they? They are big progress. So I push back on that, pal. You're entitled to your opinion. As I say, everybody can have their say. But for me, it's not embarrassing the window so far. Very frustrating, Jimmy says, Mark. Yeah, that's more along the right lines, I think. But the EFL rules state that there should be no public announcements. I agree. I'm not expecting any announcements on the takeover, but it doesn't mean that there's not going to be that frustration there, isn't it? And that's why people are getting annoyed and venting and stuff like that. So I get it. Apologies. I just needed to wet the whistle. Slit says, the reason why we are anti-Prince, speak for yourself, is the fact how can we spend 3 of the last 5 years in the Prem, TV money, parachute payments, wage cuts, but yet we're skint. That's the biggest hate. Yeah, I'm not the man to speak to about finances. I don't claim to oh, well, it's obvious it's gone here and it's obvious that this is what it's been spent on. It's cleared this debt and under this as part of the infrastructure. I genuinely don't know enough about it, I'd ask somebody like Darren Smith or Kieran Maguire or somebody that's going to go through the accounts and let you know exactly where it's all been allocated, because that is not my bag. So, but because there's that confusion, people just assume, don't they? And they might be right to assume, but I don't. I was told never assume, because it makes an ass out of you and me. Normally when a takeover's happening, says Mike, don't the EFL post a transfer embargo on said club? If that's the truth, how come that's not happening here? I don't want that to happen, obviously, though. I don't think that's a thing anymore, but you're right. That used to be a thing, didn't it? So you'd know that a takeover happening because you're not allowed to sign any players, because that's the conflict, isn't it? I don't think that helps either party, though, to be honest. The Saint says, do one Bogle. If you want to stay, you have a mouth. Fairfield says, worrying that if the deadline has passed and we haven't heard anything, and the word on the social media is that there's no progress. Yeah, that is the word on social media. These things take more time than we think. Be patient, says Stump Power 2000. Just as I was feeling optimistic, Jimmy, our defence was a shambles last season and it's in a worse position now. How's that even possible? I know. Confidence was shattered, weren't it? If Bogle wants to stay, says Bill, and is willing to sign a new deal, then it'd be a terrible long-term business from the current owners. Hard to defend. If he won't sign a new deal, then cashing in is smart. That's exactly the conundrum, isn't it, Bill? And none of us really, apart from the odd few in close circles, know which side of that tail is right. But I don't think it's fair that we vilify a player saying that he wants out if he doesn't. So you've got to give both sides of the argument that we're now aware of. So I think that's only fair, personally. We've spent millions on players, wages, training ground, the lane, etc., plus the COVID deficit, says Gaz. So Gaz is justifying some of the spend there. Again, it's not my bag, but if anybody's up on it, then you're more than willing to comment. I'm towing with these comments. I'm going through them as quick as I can because I want to give people the moment, but I'm half an hour behind already. It's all very frustrating and also exciting at the same time, says Rob. No matter what happens, can't wait to be back at beautiful downtown Bramall Lane. Me too, pal. Completely understand, Bogle. Why sign anything when the team is in its current state? We need to bring in players. Selling him before we bring the other players in might be a mistake. We could say the same about why would Callum O'Hare sign for us over Burnley or Leeds. Wilder's obviously done a hell of a sales job. And I'd hope he could do it to Bogle, but we'll see. With Sheffield United, we don't do anything quickly, says Brendan. Transfers, new deals, takeovers, or fans getting a pie at half-time. Correct. If Bogle wants to leave, cash in. Can't remember the account, but the deadline was said to be today, the 19th. You'll hear all sorts of that, pal. Get Hover in from Wolves to replace Bogle. I would too. To be honest, if he comes in on loan, that's pretty much a like for like. I don't mind that at all. And then we're not really any weaker, are we? Sell Bogle, buy Worrell and Burrows, great business. I don't think we'll have the money to buy Burrell and Worrell. Burrell and Worrows? Worrell and Burrows from selling Bogle. We're not going to get enough because if Bogle were in contract, we could be demanding 8 figures for him, couldn't we, potentially? But I think, from what I understand, Forest are playing silly buggers about Joe Worrell. Jack says, I think that's what's worrying. We missed this window and season up. We messed this window and season up. It's probably a downward drop from there. Lose our best players and be left with nothing. That is the absolute worst case scenario, Jack. Don't worry. Kristen says patience is needed. Takeover could be well advanced and now sorting the finer points out. I do think the Prince has to go. He's done well, but taking us as far as he can. If Bogle won't sign, cash in, no loss. Well said, Kristen. Very well put together that. Bogle's 23 years old and still has room to get better. You give him a deal to protect your investment. Prince Abdullah stays. Why are we still bargain basement shopping after all that Prem money? Where's it all gone, says Daniel. Fair question. Fair question. In terms of Bogle, we don't know whether we've offered him a deal or not, do we? We don't. Because some quarters are saying we have, and he's refused to sign it. Others are saying he's waiting for a decent deal. So I get it about protecting your investment, but you wouldn't want to overpay either, would you? That's the thing. You ain't getting Worrell and Burrows for the Bogle money. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I've said the same answer. Yeah, whatever happens, Blades in much stronger position than, say, Everton from an outside point of view. Thank you, pal. Good to know. Scotty, I'm sick and tired of us fans claiming it's all Prince Abdullah for our success at the club from League One to Prem. It was luck that Wilder got us up, his team, his signings, etc., and then got lucky that Illy carried us. I can't spend too much on any particular comments, Scott, but I think it were a group effort would probably be the best way to say it. Chris Wilder, I think, steered us to the Premier League. I think he deserves the lion's share of the credit. The signings that he brought in, and he was able to gel them all together, and then them performing on the pitch. It was also backed with, when he sold David Brooks, he was given that money or a decent money to rebuild the squad. But we haven't got that injection of cash now. We were operating at a deficit, so it makes Wilder's job even harder. Even harder. The worst case scenario is we lose the players with value like Gus, Anel, Vinny, then we balance the books and hopefully we rebuild with the remaining funds after all that, says Sam. I'm playing a game at the minute. What will happen first, my house move or our takeover? And his house isn't even up for sale. Has Bogle actually signed for Leeds? No, mate. No, he hasn't yet. He hasn't. And I say yet because it's widely speculated that he will. David Smith, good name. Could be named my brother, but I know it's not. You're not my bro. So far, so good on signings. And you're right, Jimmy. Nothing we can do on the takeover. If we sell a few, we can get players with the funds from sales. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Thank you, pal. Bogle's a terrible defender. Not good, but good going forward, says Stump Power. I don't think he's terrible. I don't think he's terrible. I would say he's a poor, I'd say he's a very average defender and very good going forward, particularly at this level. Good evening, Nick Cook. Thank you, pal. Very much appreciated. Very generous as always. Evening, Jimmy. Looking forward to Chesterfield tomorrow. Hope to see the new players play. Like and subscribe. I hope you get to see it as well, pal. I'm not going to the game tomorrow. But yeah, I hope you get to see him. I hope Bogle's there as well, but I'm not confident he will be. Just can't work out how we have no money for signing, says Liam. After being in the Prem for 3 to 5 seasons, 3 out of the last 5 seasons. Sold our best 2 players last summer. Reduced wages massively, but still no money. Does not make sense. Fair. Although the last few days have been poor in regards to Bogle and the takeover, I do think people need to realise that our squad can compete in the top end of the championship and we still have loans, says Luke. I agree. We are losing sight of what we've currently got on the books. And yes, it's not, you know, people are worried about Gus and people are worried about Bogle. We've still got a really strong squad at championship level. It's light. It's light. We need more numbers, but the quality is slowly coming together, particularly Kiefer Moore and Callum O'Hare. I'd be surprised if we start the season under a new owner now, says Sean. Yeah, it's going to be a quick turnaround if we do. Hi, Jimmy, says Gary. Rumours, Hamer could be the next to be on the move, up the Blades, up the Ram. I'm not sure that's true. I've seen the rumours, pal, so you're not wrong with that being talked about. I don't think it's true that he goes. I say right, I mean financially right. In terms of selling, I agree. The good thing is we're still rebuilding. 4 signings so far. We would have loved this at this time last year, says Gaz. Absolutely right, pal. Sean says, almost want to pull the plug on the takeover so we at least know where we stand and at least have some sort of structure for upcoming season. Wilder needs clarity and an actual budget to work with. Until he gets that clarity, mate, he's got the existing budget, ante. And from what we understand, that isn't, it's a bit of a wheeler-dealer budget. So I think that's what we're doing. Currently, I think there's players ready to go from what I understand. Just waiting to sign off. But there's not much more Wilder can do in that regard, if that's true. I'm going to be honest, says Luke. Some people need to stay offline. Random account says something and they take it as gospel. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. There is people like that just jump on and panic. The Prince is once again leading us up the garden path. Sick of it, says GT. Hi, Jimmy. Hi, Gary again. I don't really care about the takeover, says Jack. We got to the Prem without them. The problem I have is the lack of players coming in. I don't even have a keeper. They big this up and haven't delivered yet. You mean on the biggest window so far? It's understandable though, isn't it, pal? Even if it's frustrating, it's understandable why we haven't brought more players in because we get it. We get it. There's 2 scenarios here at play. Have you sorted the WhatsApp group link, mate? Sent you on X the other day. On with it, pal. On with it. Thank you for reminding me. That's to get into our, that's on Patreon to get into our WhatsApp group. Wolves in for Hamer, says Gary. Don't believe that. When Bogle and Elton Vinny are sold and someone triggers Hamer's clause. Mr. V, thank you very much, pal. Very kind. One of our Platinum Ramblers. Put this towards a new fan, Jimmy. Now summer has arrived up the blades, up the Ramble. Thank you, pal. I will indeed. 3 weeks, says Mark. Yeah, before we get started. It's crazy, isn't it? Crazy how quick it's coming. Hey, Jimmy. Hope you're well. I'm good, mate. Thank you. Who do you think will realistically go? I think O'Hare and Moore are good signings, but Fear 2 come in. A few goes out and will struggle. Need a good start. Sorry, I can't read because she's too far away. Anyway, it's my own fault. I'll sort it. Who do I think realistically goes? I think we keep hold of Hamer and our blaster. I think Vinny goes, and I think Anel might go. And if that's the case, we need to be moving quicker than we are. But we have to react to that. We can't spend the money on Joe Worrell and then recoup it from an Anel sale, because what if Anel doesn't go? Then we're even further in the hole, aren't we? I'd give Prince Abdullah way more than 6 compared to others in our club and others. Yeah, fair play to him. I would too. Paul says, do you know of any Prem strikers who can't get into the starting squads? Someone who's fast with an eye for goal, can hit the bullseye when needed. I like Jay Stansfield. We've got I've got to finish off the transfer videos, so I don't want to spoil it too much. But yeah, I've got a couple left. I've recorded those actually, and I just need to edit them and get them out. Wolves in for Cam. I assume you mean Hamer. My fear is, says Action Coach, Prince is still in charge. I fear we'll just flog our best players just like the season before. Just before the season starts. We can't think like this, can we? And I'm not saying you're not justified to think it, but people go back to the Illiman and Sander situation and think it's all going to repeat itself. We know why those players went. Illiman were done, signed and sealed, and he changed his mind. Sander wanted to go. When Bogle and Ellen Vinny leave, and Hamer's release clause is triggered, the rebuild gets even bigger. We need 2 centre-backs, a left-back, a goalkeeper, 2 midfielders, and 2 strikers. We certainly don't need 2 midfielders, Liam. How many more do you want in midfield? 69 years of blade, says David. Prince Abdullah is the best owner in my lifetime. Thank you, pal. I hope you're well. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for being a Platinum Rambler. Bogle can't do back 4, so I'm hoping him going is a blessing in disguise. Thoughts on an extra pre-season games and reported Scotland pre-season news. I don't know if Scotland will actually come off. I think we were planning on going to like Austria, Germany, but there's so much going on in the background at the club, isn't there? And I know the different departments and they should all be able to get sorted. But Huddersfield's just been announced, hasn't it? Final pre-season game the week before the Preston game. So 2 weeks today, we're going to play Huddersfield. Wolves were in for Hamer last week. Then they weren't. Now they are again. Just chill out, people, says Luke. Yeah, exactly right. We're on that merry-go-round, aren't we? Bogle played for Derby in a back 4. Yeah, true, Kyle. Fair point. Any idea what Gus's release clause includes? It's a decent figure, mate. It's a decent figure. We wouldn't be pulling his hair out, from what I understand. Prince Abdullah has been a great owner for once my Blade's lifetime. We've not sold players on the cheap, says Paul. Your internet is struggling, by the way. I think I'm back, mate. I think I'm back, but let me know if I do again. Before last season, Prince, 7 out of 10 after last season, 0 out of 10. Wow. Sean says, I'd be surprised if we start the season under a new owner, but we made a good start in the transfer market under the Prince and Wilder, and it could make a big January transfer window. Beast Boy says, Jimmy, do you think Bogle leaves? Yeah, I do, pal. Yeah, I do, unfortunately. Hamer and Blaster will go the first week of the season. No. So we get over 40 million to replace them. That's life, says Luke. But it's not happening. It's not happening. They're not going. Any other pre-season you go into? Not planned at the minute, pal. Not planned. But we'll see. We'll see. It's not a no. Evening, Jimmy. I've just got home, so missed some. But if you check out Numbers Behind the Net, that's an eye-opener on our last 10 years finances. But we need a big centre-back and a keeper up the Ramble. Like Numbers Behind the Net. Right, I'll try and remember that. Thanks, Neil. Jake says, what has actually sparked these takeover is off rumours. Who knows, Jake? But if you go online, which I have to do as part of the ramble to get where the news is coming from and to obviously advertise and push what we're doing. It's all over the place. People going balmy, and one sparks the other, sparks the other, sparks the other. It's one of those things. Plus, we were due some news around this time last week, and it just hadn't come. So it's pretty apparent that there's been some stalling somewhere along the line, and people put two and two together, don't they? Any news on the takeover? It's all we've talked about, pal, but no news in terms of what direction it's going. Bogle's overrated, in my opinion, says the Saint. Hove was at Stoke. I think he did 2 seasons at Stoke on loan, didn't he, Daniel? And he's a very good shout. Currently, we need a keeper. Right back, left back. If Bogle and nobody else leaves, clock is ticking. Where have the takeover collapsing rumours surfaced from? Again, I don't know, pal. I don't know. Usually there's no smoke without fire, though, isn't there? And that don't mean it's collapsed, but in terms of it stalling and not quite clicking. Would you be happy letting Bogle go if it meant we could bring in Cooper from Plymouth? Yes. Yes, I would. Partly, Chris, because I'm resigned to Bogle going. But I think Cooper from Plymouth, and it's documented that we have been banging on about this since we became a channel, pretty much. He is just, I think he's our keeper for the next 10 years, personally, if we were to get it done. Thoughts on the new home kit? Let's hope the badge is on this one and it isn't on an angle. I like it, Jamie. I like it, pal. I don't mind it. It's not. I'm not a huge kit man, as I've said, but I don't mind the home kit. Hi, Jimmy. Why does the takeover have to be hush hush? My company, who I work for, just been taken over by a French company, and we knew from day one. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. There will be people inside the company that know what's going on, mate, inside the club, but it don't benefit us really. I don't think. For if people understand that, say they are billionaires, for example, well, people start holding Sheffield United to ransom, don't they? I don't really see what the positives are. I get it, though. People want to know. And the positives of knowing might calm the fan base a little bit. Wayne, hi, pal. Hi, Jimmy, up the Blades, up the Ramble. Like and subscribe. We've got great attacking options now. I agree, mate. We're looking very open around the back door, though, aren't we? Evening, Jimmy. Any truth in the rumours that Anel and Hamer are going to Wolves for a combined fee of 35 million? No truth in it, pal. No truth from what I understand. Wilder's early success with us came from freebies and bargains. Never been good with money, apart from Egan for 4 million. Like Bogle, but it was average until last year, says Matthew. I agree. I think Wilder will thrive at this level. He has before, and he will again. It's just my opinion. Slav Paul says, basic issues we've got as it stands. We, the fans, know no. All the waiting around by the consortium and the Prince is possibly harming the rebuild that's needed, leaving Chris open for fans' anger. Yeah, fair point. Fair point. Jimmy, are we giving up on Michael Cooper? No. If the Prince has our best interests at heart, he should go. Hi, Jimmy. Hamer to Wolves. Gary, you're on with that, aren't you? You've commented about 4 or 5 times with the same thing. We've got to work on the basis that we've got no money, though, James, says Scott. If we can get 6 million for Bogle, that could possibly get us another couple over the line. Agrees, not a right back. I think Curtis would surprise a few. I think it's widely known, and Darren's talked about this previously, so we've mentioned it on the Ramble. We're working to a deficit, a transfer deficit. For example, if that figure, I don't know the figure, if the figure is 20 million quid, we can choose to operate with that deficit, which is a risk, because obviously it's debt that you carry as a club, and we want to be a sustainable club. We get 6 million for Bogle, it's down to 14 million. We get 6 million for Bogle, and then we buy Harrison Burrows for 5 million quid. It's still at 19. So again, it's like you've got a loan to pay off, if you like, or a debt or a mortgage or whatever it might be. You need to pay in, but can we kick it down the road a little bit? So what I'm saying is, don't expect all the money from any sales to go straight into the side, because it's not guaranteed that they will. Evening, Jimmy. If we see Bogle go, but bring in Cooper and Burrows, I'm happy. That won't be the swap, mate, as I've just been saying. I was thinking today, I'd never sell Bogle to Leeds. I'd keep him and rather lose money than make a rival squad stronger. Do you know what? I talked about this briefly the other day. Somebody had said to me, and I understand that with best intentions, as a content creator on your club, you've got a duty to put a positive spin on things. I don't necessarily believe that. I don't believe that. But what I think you have got a duty to do is be honest and try and reason. I'm a fan like everybody else. I've just got a microphone and a camera. So my opinion is no greater than anybody else's in this chat. It's more a case of some people will listen to what I say in terms of, and I appreciate that. But ultimately, whatever influence I have on Sheffield United Way Boys have, or Shore and View has, and obviously Johnny's a very strong opinion, as you know, for them, those of you that follow Shore and View. Shout out to Johnny. I think we've got a duty to be authentic, and that is all we try and be here. All I try to do here is just be myself. So I'll tell you if I'm leaning towards Prince Abdullah. I'll tell you if I make no bones about Chris Wilder. But so when I disagree with something, I want to be able to say it, and I don't want to rile the fans up because I don't think that's best for the club. I've always got to focus on what's good for the club. But I do not think selling Bogle, the bit that selling Bogle riles me the most is that it's going to Leeds. If you were going to Premier League or going to a foreign league, I am anywhere near as much of a problem with it. Going to a promotion rival, sticks in my craw. Don't like it. Like and subscribe and join the Platinum Ramblers, says Paul. Thank you, pal. Platinum Rambler. Very much appreciate it. Glad you speak well of it. Get an experienced loanee to help cover it right back and help Curtis progress and plug the gap. I think that's what we'll do, Renegade. I hope so. Anyway, I hope we just don't just see it as Shackleton is the one, because I'm not convinced yet that he'll do it. We do Jimmy. Well done, Jimmy. I think that might be. The Blades have made some good signings. Shackleton from Leeds, Kiefer Moore helped Ipswich Town get over the line last season. Much sought after striker at this level, and O'Hare is highly rated, says Michael. Bang on. All right. Parachute payments gone on his front row. Fury tickets up there. Fair. Yeah, in Riyadh. Well done, Jimmy. We are where we are. Nobody should stress. Us fans can't do anything about what's happening. Let's just adopt the wait and see. Up the Ramble, up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. We've got to go with this plan A. It was touted weeks or months ago. Have we not? Clearly not got a plan B at this stage. So what sales can fund the rebuilding, letting players that won't sign is the right move. Yeah, I think so. If he's not going to sign, we need to move him on, don't we? We're talking about imagine how we feel. Imagine Wilder. He has to manage a team through this. Absolutely. I'd also say, imagine how Prince Abdullah feels. And I know a lot of you don't care about that, but I think, that I often think, would I want this stress? Would I want this, people having a pop at me because I don't want to sell something that I enjoy, and people saying all this stuff about. Anyway, more power to him. I couldn't own a football club, even my own. Prince has been the best chairman in my lifetime, and I've been going to the lane nearly 50 years, says Paul. P.S. I'm back from a holiday from Greece, says Ollie. Didn't see George Baldock. Bloody warm weather, though. Anyway, I can watch you live again now, Jimmy. Thank you, Ollie. Thanks for joining us, pal. Wilder has done well through this, correct? Must be so hard. He has to be the man to take us forward. Yeah, I agree, Biggie. We can forget Burrows, Cooper and Worrell and others who are fees, pal, as by the time we sell our players, they'll have all moved on, mate. Possibly. And that is disappointing. It's infuriating. Nobody knows what's happening. Why encourage speculation, says Jeff. Yeah, because it's all me that's encouraging this speculation. If you've watched at all, Jeff, I've been trying to calm people down, But thanks for joining us, joining the speculation. Is the mismanagement of the club sinking in yet, anyone? In the words of Richard Feynman, the first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool. Nice. Some of the stuff people believe is embarrassing. Yeah, I agree. To be clear, my comments are nothing to do with announcements. If there's any legs to the Tyrese Campbell rumor on a free, I also think that would be a decent addition. I'm not sure, Sam. I mentioned doing our freebies thing because the options are so slim. Looking at him, I'm not convinced. Don't get me wrong. If he comes in, I think he's more of a McCallum signing where he complements the squad and sort of pads us out a little bit. Wouldn't expect him to start. Going to rename Bramall Lane Magal Lane. Okay. Guys, it's tournament summer. Almost everyone starts late in the transfer window. Not many teams are buying right now, waiting for the first dominoes to fall. Love that, Rifat. Thank you. What was the deadline today to get it done for the start of the season, pal? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Some people were speculating that today was the deadline day, but pinch of salt till any official announcements are made, says Renegade. Absolutely right. Luke says, where did all the deadlines originate from? Please don't say random account on X. That's what starts it, isn't it? Usually. I'm not saying it did this time, but people are saying, oh, well, it's going to be done by 19th. We had some of those in our chat, in our platinum chat. People were saying, oh, I've heard it's 19th. Well, I hadn't heard it. That don't mean it is or it ain't, because I'm not necessarily going to hear it, but it's like players that we get linked to, isn't it? You know, we're going to sign this man, we're going to sign that man. You know, Liam Miller came out of nowhere. He's not been mentioned for weeks. Dembele, who's likely going to the other side at City. No, it's not happened, has it? For example, Euro to Man United now kicking off, probably Somerville to Lille. Would you keep Benny and give him a shot in the Championship? I would personally. I'm not convinced we will, but I would, pal. Just at the minute when we're so thin as well. I do apologise if I sound negative. I have ADHD, which causes stress and anxiety when there's uncertainty. Jack, there is no need to firstly apologise or secondly explain why you've got an opinion. It's your opinion to have, and you're more than entitled to it. Not everybody will agree, and the fact that you're, you know, open enough to come on and say that on a platform like this when there's been 400 odd people in, thank you for being so honest, because that encourages more people to come on and know that it's a caring environment where you can be open and honest and talk about your stuff. So shout out to you, Jack. Well played, mate. And I hope you're doing okay. Exactly, Rifat. Things will start happening, says Big E. My son's friend, who's an academy manager, he's basically said that the takeover's about done. There you go. So Ryan, knowing his source, will be confident in that aspect of it happening. I don't know Ryan, and I don't know which academy manager he's talking about, so I can't say whether I'm confident in that link. But these are how these things start, aren't they? There's a book out that was called Fit and Proper. This is just another chapter. Darren Smith on Twitter saying the Bogle money won't be reinvested. There you go. I'm done with this owner. Are you going to Miller's away, Jimmy? No. And is it a Miller's away game for you, Rye? You know what I'm talking about. I'm not at the moment, mate, but I'll see. I've got particularly after last night, I've got a box clever with Mrs. Ramble, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see how the negotiations go through the summer. Wilder was backed by having security to keep a stable team all these years. We didn't sell our better performing players below value like we did with every other owner. I agree. And you look at, for all the criticism we get about selling Illiman and Sander, we could have sold them earlier for a higher profit. We chose to keep them so we could get out of the Championship, and it worked. It worked. Premier League clubs usually wait till the last 2 weeks of the window before they decide who they will loan out, correct? So that'll be a busy last 2 weeks for loans. I expect us to be very busy in loan market. Excuse me, and it could go late in the window. In fact, it could be a rare, busy deadline day for Sheffield United. Can't wait to get back to beautiful downtown Bramall Lane, says Isaac. Me too, pal. Up the blades, up the ramble. Like and subscribe. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, pal. Where's my mouse going now? Bloody hell. I'll have to adjust this. It's one of these newfangled ones where you can adjust the sensitivity on it, and I haven't done it yet. So it's all... what's your thoughts on the situation? Do you think the takeover will go through? Who do you think we may bring in? I genuinely don't know whether it will go through now. I thought it would all along. And now, because of things you start to hear, and I'm only hearing similar to what, as I say, I haven't spoken to the Prince for a while, so I don't know his version of it. I don't think it will. I don't think it goes through. And I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know how I feel about it, because I think Prince Abdullah's underappreciated, but I appreciate that's my opinion, and it's a sensitive topic at the minute. We don't know what we're getting with new owners, but there's also the potential that they have access to taking us to that next level, which we've craved for so long. And if the takeover doesn't go through, we'll never know that. So people will always use it as a stick to beat Prince Abdullah with. So I don't know. 30 minutes behind the live stream, but I love it. Nonetheless, thank you, mate. Blaster can't leave. He's our captain next season. I hope so. I think it'll be Robinson with Blaster as vice captain, personally. And I don't mind that. Anyone wants to go just as we sign O'Hare? No, I'm not convinced he does want to go, pal. I'm not saying he won't. There you go now then, saying he doesn't want to leave. Don't think Gamer will go now. O'Hare's sign. Again, for me, I don't think O'Hare signing will change Gus Hamer's mind. If he gets a big money deal that, gives him an extra 50% on what he's earning at Sheffield United, he'll take it. I think the fact that Blaster is a blade, a boyhood blade, definitely one of us, doesn't mean he won't want to move to the Premier League if somebody comes in for him. You see it happen all the time. It's a short career, but by the same token, I don't think either of them go in the summer. I think if we can get promoted, then we build the team around them. Hoover scored against Borough and started their downfall the other season. Good start for me. Cody Drama has to be our number one target for right back. Love that. Cody Drama. Free agent, good attacking, okay defensively and fast. Yep. Anybody that's spoken to me today that's got links into the manager wants to, he'll be well aware of that, by the way. He doesn't need me to tell him that Cody Drama's available. But if we can only look at the free market at the minute, he is up there in terms of some of the best you can get for our level. Play Bogle right wing or left wing or right mid, left mid. Yeah. 40 mil to the Prince, says GT. We'll see a new Brewster next season, thinks Rifat. All right, Jimmy, just open the Curlew Gelato Lounge in Filet. Yes. Pop down if you want an ice cream or a coffee, mate. We'll be there. Great to see you finally open. I know you had a few issues getting through some technical stuff, but delighted for you, pal. And we will be down there. We will be down. We'll see you soon. Who do you reckon for loans coming in? Well, Raksaki's been mentioned, Anti from Crystal Palace, as the right winger. That's been heavily touted, but now Southampton are said to be in for him, which you're not often going to beat Premier League interest. In terms of others, it's up for grabs, isn't it? I would love to see Rushworth on loan in goal if we can't stretch to Michael Cooper permanently. Jimmy, the club cannot talk about the takeover under EFL rules. Up the blades, up the ramble. Absolutely right, Mark. They can't comment on it, but fans certainly do, and understandably so. We'll see a new Brewster in the new formation if he can stay fit. Last season on contract, watching play like Mbappe. Yeah, probably. 4 years I've been saying Cooper, get him in, up the blades, up the ramble, like and subscribe. Yes, you have. You've been well on that train with me, haven't you, pal? Ian, good evening, mate. The Prince blatantly showed last summer that he doesn't give a rat's ass about us being a competitive team. He's 100% looking after his own interest. Nothing more, nothing less. Different note, Jimmy, but have you changed camera? Looks very good. No, I haven't, pal. It's the same camera, but it's a new light, and I think that makes an awful lot of difference. I've tried to shore a few things up. We try and improve all the time, mate. So thank you for that feedback. I appreciate it. Jimmy, how has the transfer deficit not been written off after promotion? I don't know, mate. I don't know. We spent next to note. Where's the TV money gone? And where are the parachute payments going? Again, pal, I don't know. And I'm not saying that to dismiss the question and try and move past it. I genuinely don't know the answer. So if anybody does, then absolutely. Michael Hellick, do. Yes, from Huddersfield. My dad's a big fan. My dad would have him. Apparently a very good player. I felt better Monday, but after today, not so sure, says Thomas. I know, mate, it's frustrating, isn't it? Hi, Jimmy. Sorry, buddy. Red wine kicked in, so Hamer's not going then. Up the blades, up the ramble. Don't know that bit. I'm not saying he definitely won't go, pal. I don't want you quoting me on anything, but I don't think he goes personally. And there's no active bids or interest that I'm aware of. If everything is true on Twitter, then Cooper has done his medical. Exactly. There's all them sort of rumors flying around too, isn't there, pal? Well done, Jack. Yes, absolutely right, Jack. shout out, star of the show tonight. Shout out to you, Jack. You're not alone in this, buddy. Nice one, Paul. I've heard some shareholders are getting letters asking to buy their shares or something like that. Maybe that's a sign the takeover still has legs. It definitely still has legs, Sam. It definitely still has legs. The one thing we can take away from today, I think Darren Smith's just been talking about it before we came online. It's still ongoing. Talks are still ongoing. It's not broken down. The concerns are because it's stalling allegedly, because it's not going as quickly as people would like. But it's very easy for other people to say on the outside, isn't it? It's a huge decision. It's huge finances we're talking about. It's very complex. We don't know enough about it, do we? Ultimately, is it me, Jimmy, or is your Wi-Fi doggy or dodgy? Possibly. Screen keeps freezing. Sounds okay. Up the blades. Like and subscribe. Possibly, mate. Possibly. If anybody knows how to run an Ethernet cable to a garage, which is now a studio, not a garage, then let me know. This Bogle deal reminds me of the Burger deal, going to rivals in the league. Yeah, it is similar, mate. A lot of cash has gone in the infrastructure and buying the land to build on, which costs millions. Yes, that's right, Mark. Yeah, we can sort of speculate where it's gone, can't we? But I wouldn't want to say it's all been allocated here or a large portion there, because I don't know enough about it. And somebody much smarter than me will rightly come in and say, Jimmy, you don't know what you're talking about. How do you think Illiman will get on Everton? I think he'll fly, mate, in all honesty. I think he'll do really well. And it's the absolute tragedy of it all is we don't get any sort of sell on. So we don't get a step on or anything. If he'd have gone direct to Everton and then signs for a Newcastle or somebody with loads of money for like 80 million, we'd have got a kickback, wouldn't we? All that money wasted on legal fees, etc., for it to fall through. Evening, Jimmy. Hope you're well. I'm good, thank you. Chaz. Mitch says, let's concentrate on getting a team ready for the hard slog in the championship. Everything else will fall into place. Then let's deal with it. What's the new thing in the background? New thing? It's not a new thing, mate. It might be a new thing in the frame. So that is our Best New Content Creator Bronze Award from the the Football Content Awards last year. Very proud of that. And thank you to everybody that contributed to voting for us. This is a Wilder jacket by Luke Prest, I believe. Mine is limited editions, number 74 out of 100. So it's like Wilder's coat on in the changing room. A couple of Peronis around him. League One trophy and all that, just casual Wilder. Cooper doing Archer. Jimmy hypes him up, then flops. Wow. Archer didn't fly, did he? But still a player in Archer. Can I wait for the derby? Just we don't get turned over, says Isaac. Isaac, get to bed. TV money and parachute payments are the same thing. You get a set chunk of money, says Bill, based on where you finish in the Prem. That money comes from the broadcasters in the first place. A portion of it is paid. So say we spent 30 million last summer in total. You get 110 million-ish for finishing last. So we'll have essentially 80 million quid. Add in running costs, wage bill, new site. There won't be much left of parachutes. Surely for a keeper and Rodak. Thank you, Bill, for that explanation, by the way, pal. For a keeper, Rodak on a free is worth a go. Solid championship keeper and free. He has to be on the radar. He has to be on the radar now, surely. If you have outlets in your studio connected to the house, you could use the wireless Ethernet. I'm using wireless, pal, and we've got a booster and all sorts of things, but it's still not quite how I want it. I think Ethernet would give us the strength that we're wanting. So I think I've just about caught up on everything. I mean, there's no overarching sort of message. People are always going to be entitled to their own opinion, and you can't, and nor would you want to necessarily change it too much. What I would try to do is calm everybody down a little bit, because we can't control it. This is what my dad always used to say to me: "Why are you worrying about it? Whatever will be, will be." So we just have to wait and try and be patient. And it is try. It's not be patient. It's try and be patient. See what we can do. Anyway, but that's all we can say for now, isn't it? We don't know what's happening. We're desperate for an update. I'm hoping the players go and do their talking on the pitch tomorrow and state their own claim individually for why they should be involved in this squad going forward. But for now, come on, you red and white wizards. Up the blade!